Our journey into deep time begins not with the roar of giants, but with a profound, haunting silence, a silence that lingers in the aftermath of the greatest biological crisis the planet has ever endured. Imagine Earth 252 million years ago. The continents are fused into a single sprawling landmass, Pangaea, its surface a patchwork of scorched deserts and parched riverbeds stretching unbroken from the northern ice to the southern wastes. In this primeval world, relentless volcanic eruptions in the region now known as Siberia spewed forth oceans of molten rock and suffocating gases. The sky was choked with ash, sunlight dimmed to a perpetual twilight, and the air grew thick with the stench of sulphur and death. The seas, once teeming with life, turned acidic and inhospitable. Coral reefs dissolved, and entire marine ecosystems collapsed. On land, forests withered, and the majority of animal life vanished, leaving behind only scattered fossils as silent witnesses to the devastation. The aftermath was a world stripped to its bones. Jagged rocks and barren plains stretched for miles, the ground etched with the scars of catastrophe. For countless millennia, the planet was a wasteland, its silence broken only by the faint stirrings of life daring to return. Across the immense arid expanse of Pangaea, the climate was merciless. Temperatures soared by day and plummeted by night. Rivers dwindled to shallow channels, and the few surviving forests clung to life in isolated refuges, battered by relentless droughts and unpredictable storms. Yet, in these harsh and unforgiving conditions, evolution found opportunity. Among the survivors were small, nimble reptiles, creatures with scaly hides and sharp senses, able to eke out an existence in the shadows of a broken world. These were the earliest archosaurs, the ancestors of the dinosaurs. Gradually, the land began to recover. Hardy ferns and conifers sent roots deep into the ashen soil, their green shoots piercing the grey wasteland. Insects buzzed among the new growth, and amphibians crept back to the muddy banks of shrinking streams, forming the first fragile webs of life in the Triassic dawn. Among these pioneers, the archosaurs began to diversify. Their bodies were lean and efficient, their jaws lined with sharp teeth, and their limbs built for speed and endurance. These ruling reptiles would become the architects of a new evolutionary era. The archosaurs split into several distinct lineages. Some evolved into the ancestors of crocodiles, their bodies armoured and their jaws powerful. Others took to the skies, becoming the first pterosaurs, their wings stretched taut over elongated fingers. But one lineage, slender and upright, would give rise to the dinosaurs. In the unpredictable Triassic climate, competition was relentless. Only those with the most innovative adaptations could survive the shifting landscapes, where droughts, floods and wildfires were constant threats. A crucial evolutionary breakthrough emerged. Many archosaurs began to walk with their legs positioned directly beneath their bodies, rather than splayed to the sides. This upright stance was a radical departure from their sprawling ancestors. With their limbs aligned beneath them, these reptiles could move with unprecedented efficiency. Their strides lengthened, their bodies lifted clear of the ground, and their muscles powered swift, sustained movement across the open plains. This new mode of locomotion allowed them to traverse vast distances in search of food and water, to evade predators and to exploit new ecological niches that had opened in the wake of extinction. Around 230 million years ago, the first true dinosaurs appeared. These were not the colossal beasts of later ages, but small, agile bipeds, creatures like Eoraptor, whose slender limbs and alert eyes marked them as swift, opportunistic hunters. In the fossil-rich valleys of what is now Argentina and Brazil, paleontologists have uncovered the delicate bones of these early dinosaurs. Their skeletons reveal a design built for speed and agility, with lightweight frames and sharp, recurved teeth, ideal for seizing prey. Eoraptor, scarcely larger than a modern fox, darted through the tangled undergrowth of Triassic forests. It hunted insects, lizards, and small vertebrates, its senses finely tuned to the faintest rustle or flicker of movement in the leaf litter. What set these early dinosaurs apart was a subtle but revolutionary anatomical feature, an open hip socket or acetabulum, which allowed their legs to swing directly beneath their bodies, supporting a fully upright posture. This adaptation enabled powerful, energy-efficient movement. Dinosaurs could run for long distances, leap over obstacles, and maintain high levels of activity, traits that would become hallmarks of their evolutionary success. These innovations laid the foundation for the dinosaurs' future dominance. Their bodies became blueprints for endurance, speed, and adaptability, traits that would allow them to radiate into every corner of the recovering world. Yet in these early days, dinosaurs were not the undisputed rulers of their environment. They shared the land with formidable rivals, massive armoured reptiles that had survived the Permian extinction and still held sway over rivers and floodplains. Chief among these were the pseudosuchians, crocodile-like predators with thick armour and crushing jaws. They prowled the waterways, ambushing prey with sudden, explosive force, and posed a constant threat to the smaller, more agile dinosaurs. The Triassic world was a dynamic mosaic of competing lineages. Each group adapted to the ever-shifting climate, evolving new strategies for survival in a landscape still scarred by catastrophe and shaped by relentless environmental change. But the planet's turmoil was far from over. Deep within the Earth, tectonic forces gathered strength, preparing to unleash another wave of destruction that would once again reshape the biosphere. Around 201 million years ago, as the Triassic period drew to a close, the supercontinent began to fracture. Cataclysmic volcanic eruptions tore through the crust, releasing torrents of lava and vast clouds of carbon dioxide and sulfur. The climate spiraled into chaos, and a second mass extinction swept across the globe. This new extinction event decimated the dominant reptilian dynasties, clearing entire ecosystems and opening ecological space for new forms of life to flourish. While many of their competitors vanished, the dinosaurs endured. Their anatomical innovations and ecological flexibility allowed them to survive the chaos, to adapt to the transformed world, and to seize the opportunities left in the wake of extinction. As the dust settled and the world slowly healed, the dinosaurs emerged as the inheritors of a new Earth. With the stage cleared and the climate stabilizing, they began their extraordinary ascent, diversifying, expanding, and ultimately ruling the planet for the next 200 million years, their reign written in stone and bone across the ages. With the extinction of their early competitors, dinosaurs surged into a world of opportunity, ready to shape the next era of life on Earth. Their rise marked the beginning of an unparalleled evolutionary saga, one that would see them dominate every corner of the planet for over 150 million years. The dawn of the Jurassic period signalled a dramatic evolutionary leap. Dinosaurs diversified at an astonishing rate, filling the forests, plains and wetlands with a dazzling array of forms and behaviours. Each new lineage carved out its own ecological niche, from the smallest insect hunters to the largest plant eaters the world had ever seen. As the supercontinent Pangaea fractured, vast rifts opened, birthing new oceans and intricate coastlines. This geological upheaval reshaped the climate, altering wind and rainfall patterns across the globe. The shifting continents created isolated environments, driving evolutionary experimentation and regional diversity among dinosaur populations. Moisture-laden air swept inland, transforming once barren deserts into thriving green worlds. Towering conifers, cycads and ferns formed dense canopies, creating a paradise for plant-eating giants and the creatures that followed in their wake. These lush habitats became the stage for evolutionary innovation as flora and fauna co-evolved in a dynamic dance of adaptation. In these verdant environments, sauropods, colossal, long-necked herbivores, emerged as the undisputed titans of the land. Species like Brachiosaurus, with its towering stance, and Diplodocus, with its whip-like tail, grazed in herds, shaping the very landscape as they moved. Their migration patterns influenced the distribution of plant life, while their sheer size altered the physical structure of forests. The Jurassic world teemed with life. Dinosaurs adapted to every niche, some browsing treetops, others grazing low vegetation, and many more filling roles as swift runners, armoured defenders, or cunning predators. Interactions between species were complex, with competition, symbiosis, and even mutualistic relationships shaping the balance of these ancient ecosystems. Sauropods, the giants among giants, became icons of this age. Brachiosaurus, with its giraffe-like neck, could reach vegetation untouched by any other animal, while Apatosaurus and Diplodocus swept their long tails through the undergrowth, clearing paths for smaller creatures. These herds displayed intricate social behaviours, using vocalizations and tail movements to communicate and coordinate. Their immense size was a marvel of evolutionary engineering. Not only did it deter most predators, but it also allowed them to process vast quantities of tough, fibrous plants that dominated the Jurassic flora. Their skin, often armoured with thick scales or bony nodules, provided additional protection against the rare but formidable carnivores. Their peg-like teeth and elongated jaws were perfectly suited for stripping leaves and swallowing them whole, relying on massive fermenting guts to break down the cellulose-rich diet. Specialized digestive systems, including enormous stomach chambers, enabled efficient extraction of nutrients from even the most resilient plant matter. To support their monumental bulk, sauropods evolved thick, columnar legs, living pillars that bore the weight of creatures rivaling the largest whales of today. Their feet, cushioned by pads of cartilage, left deep impressions in the ancient mud, silent records of their passage through the Jurassic world. Their necks, composed of a series of elongated vertebrae, allowed them to sweep vast arcs through the treetops, accessing food sources far above the reach of other herbivores. Ingenious ligament systems and lightweight construction provided both strength and flexibility, minimizing energy expenditure during feeding. Ingeniously, their bones were riddled with air sacs, reducing weight without sacrificing strength. This adaptation, coupled with a highly efficient bird-like respiratory system, enabled them to thrive despite their size. Air flowed continuously through their lungs, maximizing oxygen uptake and supporting their immense metabolic demands. Yet, where there were giants, there were also formidable hunters. The rise of massive herbivores spurred the evolution of equally impressive predators. These carnivores developed advanced hunting strategies, often targeting the young or infirm members of herds. Theropods, the dominant carnivores of the Jurassic, grew larger and more specialized. Their keen senses, powerful limbs, and razor-sharp teeth made them relentless hunters. Some species developed acute olfactory abilities, tracking prey over vast distances, while others relied on stealth and speed to ambush their targets. Allosaurus, the apex predator of North America, patrolled floodplains and forests. Agile and muscular, it relied on ambush tactics and coordinated attacks to bring down even the largest prey. In some regions, multiple predators competed for dominance, leading to fierce territorial disputes and dynamic predator-prey relationships. Its skull was a masterpiece of predatory design. Deep, reinforced, and lined with serrated teeth capable of slicing through flesh and bone with terrifying efficiency. Powerful jaw muscles delivered crushing bites, while flexible necks allowed for rapid side-to-side strikes during feeding. Not all dinosaurs were giants. Smaller species flourished in the shadows of their colossal relatives, foraging for food, evading predators, and exploiting every available resource. Some scavenged the leftovers of larger kills, while others specialized in seeds, insects, or aquatic plants. Ornithischians, the bird-hipped dinosaurs, radiated into a multitude of forms. Some, like Camptosaurus, grazed in herds, while others developed elaborate defences. Juveniles often form protective groups, relying on numbers and vigilance to survive in a world of giants. Stegosaurus, instantly recognizable by its double row of towering plates and spiked tail, may have used these features for display, thermoregulation, or as a formidable deterrent against predators. The plates, rich in blood vessels, could flush with colour, signalling dominance or readiness to mate, while the tail spikes, thagomizers, were lethal weapons in defence. Beneath the feet of giants, a quieter revolution was underway. Small, agile theropods darted through the undergrowth, some sporting primitive feathers for insulation or display. These feathers, initially simple filaments, gradually evolved into complex structures, providing both warmth and a means of communication. Among these nimble hunters, a remarkable innovation was taking shape: the first experiments with flight. Feathers, initially evolved for warmth or signalling, began to serve a new purpose. Some dinosaurs used their feathered limbs to leap, glide, or even chase prey through the dense foliage, setting the stage for the evolution of true flight. Fossils like Archaeopteryx, exquisitely preserved in fine-grained limestone, reveal the mosaic of features bridging dinosaurs and birds: wings, feathers, and the beginnings of powered flight. Its anatomy provides a snapshot of evolutionary transition, capturing the moment when dinosaurs first took to the air. Archaeopteryx possessed sharp teeth, clawed fingers, and a long bony tail, yet its asymmetrical feathers and wishbone hint at the aerial mastery that would define its descendants. Its flight was likely limited and awkward by modern standards, but it marked a pivotal step in the conquest of the skies. This extraordinary creature stands as living proof that the boundary between dinosaur and bird is not a divide, but a continuum, one that soars across millions of years. The innovations of the Jurassic would echo through time, culminating in the vibrant diversity of modern birds. As the first feathered wings beat against the Jurassic sky, a new dynasty was born, one that would eventually inherit the world long after the Age of Giants had passed into legend. The Age of Giants was not merely an era of size, but of innovation, adaptation, and the relentless drive of life to explore every possibility the ancient Earth could offer. The Cretaceous period marked the grand finale of the dinosaurs' reign, a time when evolution reached new heights of specialization and diversity. Across the globe, dinosaurs adapted to fill every conceivable ecological niche, transforming prehistoric Earth into a living laboratory of evolutionary innovation. As the continents continued their slow drift apart, they created isolated landmasses. These natural barriers fostered the rise of unique dinosaur lineages, each evolving distinct traits to survive in their changing environments. The most profound transformation, however, was botanical. Flowering plants, angiosperms, emerged and rapidly diversified, carpeting the land with new forms of vegetation. Their arrival revolutionized the food web, offering a rich, nutritious resource that would forever alter the course of dinosaur evolution. These plants spread swiftly, outcompeting older plant groups and reshaping entire ecosystems. Their seeds, fruits and leaves became the foundation for new feeding strategies and evolutionary arms races. Herbivorous dinosaurs responded with remarkable adaptations. Some developed specialized jaws and teeth to process tough, fibrous plant matter, while others evolved long necks to reach high foliage or nimble beaks for selective browsing. Among the most successful were the hadrosaurs, or duck-billed dinosaurs. These animals thrived in vast herds, their social structure providing safety in numbers and allowing them to exploit a wide range of plant resources. Hadrosaurs evolved intricate dental batteries, hundreds of tightly packed teeth forming a grinding surface. This adaptation enabled them to efficiently break down tough leaves, stems and twigs, extracting maximum nutrition from the new vegetation. Many hadrosaurs also developed elaborate hollow crests atop their skulls. These structures, connected to their nasal passages, were likely used for communication, producing resonant calls that could travel great distances. The calls of these dinosaurs echoed across the Cretaceous plains, serving as signals for herd movement, warnings of danger, or even complex social interactions within their groups. The landscape was alive with the sounds and movements of countless dinosaur species, each adapted to its own role in the ecosystem. Not all herbivores relied on numbers or speed. Some took a defensive approach, evolving formidable armor and weaponry to deter even the most determined predators. Ceratopsians, the horned dinosaurs, became living fortresses. Their skulls bore massive frills and horns, both for defense and for display. The iconic Triceratops, with its 3 sharp horns and broad bony frill, weighed several tons and could stand its ground against the largest predators. These features also played a role in ritualized combat, as rivals locked horns in contests for dominance or mating rights. Such confrontations were dramatic displays of strength and endurance, shaping the social structure of these powerful herbivores. Meanwhile, ankylosaurs perfected passive defense. Their bodies were encased in thick, bony plates, and some wielded massive tail clubs capable of delivering devastating blows to any attacker. This escalation in herbivore defenses drove predators to evolve new strategies and adaptations, fueling an evolutionary arms race that shaped the fate of both hunter and hunted. The theropods of the Cretaceous became the most formidable predators the world had ever seen. Each lineage developed unique hunting techniques, from ambush tactics to pack coordination. In North America, Tyrannosaurus rex reigned supreme. This colossal predator combined raw power with keen senses, making it the ultimate hunter of its time. Its skull was engineered for destruction, with massive jaws capable of crushing bone and tearing through the toughest armor. Forward-facing eyes granted T-Rex precise depth perception, while its enlarged olfactory lobes hinted at an extraordinary sense of smell, perfect for tracking prey across vast distances. Elsewhere, dromaeosaurs like Velociraptor relied on agility and intelligence. These predators hunted in packs, using coordinated attacks and their signature sickle-shaped claws to subdue prey much larger than themselves. The Cretaceous world was a tapestry of specialists, each dinosaur lineage a testament to the power of adaptation. From armored giants to cunning hunters, every species carved out its own path in a world shaped by constant change and relentless competition. For nearly 180 million years, dinosaurs dominated the planet's ecosystems, evolving into a breathtaking array of forms. From the immense, long-necked sauropods that shaped the landscape with their sheer size, to the agile predators that kept herds in constant motion, their reign was marked by adaptability and resilience. They endured shifting continents, fluctuating climates, and the relentless march of time, thriving in environments ranging from humid swamps to arid deserts. The Mesozoic world was a tapestry of life, woven with the footsteps of these ancient giants, their presence echoing across every continent. But 66 million years ago, this era of dominance was abruptly and violently ended by a cosmic catastrophe. In a single, devastating moment, the stability of the Mesozoic world was shattered, setting in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of life on Earth. From the silent reaches of space, a massive asteroid, measuring 10 kilometers across, hurtled toward Earth at unimaginable speed. Its entry into the atmosphere unleashed a searing fireball, igniting the sky and heralding the end of an age. The asteroid struck the shallow seas near the Yucatan Peninsula, releasing energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. The impact vaporized rock and water, carving a crater over 150 kilometers wide and sending a column of superheated debris high into the atmosphere. The immediate aftermath was cataclysmic. A blinding flash incinerated everything within hundreds of kilometers. Towering tsunamis surged across coastlines, obliterating habitats and drowning entire populations. Shockwaves radiated outward, flattening forests and shattering the bones of creatures caught in their path. Within hours, the vibrant world of the dinosaurs was reduced to chaos and ruin. The day of the impact marked the final chapter for countless species, as firestorms swept across continents and the landscape was transformed into a wasteland. The devastation did not end with the initial blast. Fires ignited by falling debris raged unchecked, consuming forests and grasslands. The skies became choked with smoke and ash, plunging the world into a suffocating darkness. Trillions of tons of pulverized rock and vaporized minerals were ejected into the atmosphere, forming a dense, impenetrable shroud that encircled the globe. For months, sunlight was blocked, and the planet was plunged into a prolonged, unnatural night. Without sunlight, global temperatures plummeted. Photosynthesis ceased, and the lush vegetation that had sustained the dinosaurs withered and died. The world grew cold and inhospitable, blanketed in frost and shadow. A relentless impact winter gripped the earth. Snow and ice covered regions that had never known cold, and the once thriving landscapes became barren, silent, and lifeless. The collapse of plant life triggered a devastating chain reaction. Herbivorous dinosaurs, deprived of food, weakened and died in staggering numbers. The great herds that once thundered across the plains vanished, leaving only silence in their wake. Their skeletal remains littered the desolate landscapes, mute testimony to the sudden and total collapse of the world they once ruled. The mighty carnivores, from the towering Tyrannosaurus to the swift dromaeosaurs, soon followed. With prey scarce and the cold unrelenting, they too succumbed to starvation and exposure, their dominance ended by forces beyond their control. In a geological instant, the non-avian dinosaurs, once the undisputed rulers of the earth, were gone. Yet, even in the aftermath of devastation, life found a way to persist. The silence that followed was not the end, but the beginning of renewal. Amid the destruction, a small, feathered lineage of dinosaurs endured. Adapted for flight and survival in harsh conditions, these resilient creatures weathered the darkness, finding refuge in the shadows and feeding on seeds, insects, and whatever scraps remained. These survivors, the ancestors of modern birds, possessed unique adaptations, lightweight bodies, insulating feathers, and versatile beaks that enabled them to exploit resources unavailable to larger species. Their ability to fly allowed them to escape devastated regions, while their beaks, evolved for cracking seeds, provided access to food sources that persisted through the long, dark winter. Small size and adaptability became their greatest strengths. While the giants perished, these tenacious survivors clung to life, enduring the harshest conditions and waiting for the world to recover. As the dust gradually settled and sunlight returned, these avian dinosaurs began to diversify, radiating into new forms and filling ecological niches left vacant by extinction. They became the pioneers of a new era, their calls echoing through forests that were slowly regrowing, their presence a symbol of resilience and renewal. Alongside them, small mammals, once overshadowed by the dinosaurs, emerged from their burrows and shelters. Warm-blooded and resourceful, these survivors began to exploit the new opportunities presented by a world in flux. Today, the legacy of the dinosaurs endures in every bird that graces our skies. Their evolutionary journey, shaped by catastrophe and survival, is a testament to the power of adaptation and the persistence of life. Each feathered wingbeat is a living connection to the ancient world, a reminder that the story of the dinosaurs did not end in extinction, but transformed and continued in new and remarkable ways. The extinction of the dinosaurs reshaped the biosphere, clearing the way for new life forms and ecosystems to flourish. Forests regrew, flowering plants spread across continents, and new animal lineages began their own evolutionary journeys. The fossils left behind are not merely relics of a vanished world, but enduring records of life's capacity for both tragedy and renewal. Each bone and imprint is a chapter in the ongoing saga of evolution. As we uncover their remains and reconstruct their stories, we are reminded of the fragility and resilience of life. The age of dinosaurs ended in fire, darkness, and silence, but from their ashes, new worlds emerged. Worlds that would one day give rise to the astonishing diversity of life that now inhabits our planet. The end of their reign was not the end of life, but the dawn of new beginnings, echoing through every living creature that walks, crawls, swims, or flies today. In the aftermath of planetary devastation, the relentless march of evolution continued, undeterred by the chaos that had swept the ancient world. As the dense clouds of dust and ash gradually dispersed, a new era dawned, one shaped not by the colossal forms of the past, but by resilient survivors adorned in intricate plumage. These feathered dinosaurs emerged as the inheritors of a world forever altered, their delicate structures a testament to adaptation and innovation. The origins of feathers trace back millions of years before the cataclysm, arising first as simple filaments, structures that provided insulation and aided in temperature regulation. These primitive feathers, resembling soft down, shielded small theropods from the chill of ancient nights, offering a crucial survival advantage in fluctuating climates. Over time, feathers diversified in form and function. Vivid colours and elaborate crests evolved, serving as visual signals in complex social interactions, from courtship displays to territorial disputes. Through gradual modification, these filaments branched and flattened, giving rise to the complex feather structures seen in later species. Each adaptation a response to environmental pressures and ecological opportunities. Some feathers became broad and stiff, enabling the first gliding behaviours. Early feathered dinosaurs, such as Microraptor, used these aerodynamic surfaces to leap and glide between the dense canopies of Jurassic forests, evading predators and seeking new resources. In the transformed post-impact world, these evolutionary innovations became vital. Feathers provided not only warmth and display, but also new means of locomotion and survival. As sunlight returned and forests began to regenerate, feathered dinosaurs exploited emerging habitats, adapting to the shifting landscape with remarkable versatility. Initially, wings evolved as stabilizers for balance and maneuverability, aiding in rapid movement through dense undergrowth and complex terrain. Over generations, gliding gave way to powered flight. The mechanics of flight, flapping wings, lightweight bones, and advanced musculature, emerged through incremental changes, culminating in the first true avian flyers. These pioneers soared above the recovering landscapes, accessing food sources and refuges unreachable to their terrestrial counterparts, and opening new ecological frontiers. Feathers also evolved for camouflage, blending their bearers seamlessly into the regrowing forests, while intricate patterns and hues provided concealment from both predators and prey. Beyond flight and concealment, feathers shielded these animals from rain, wind, and temperature extremes, while also facilitating silent communication through subtle movements and displays. The anatomical evolution of beaks and claws paralleled feather development. These features adapted rapidly, enabling new feeding strategies and ecological roles in a world marked by rapid change. Some lineages specialized in cracking tough seeds, their beaks evolving into powerful tools for accessing new food sources. Others developed slender probing beaks, ideal for extracting insects and larvae hidden beneath bark or within crevices. This remarkable adaptability allowed feathered dinosaurs to radiate into a multitude of forms, occupying ecological niches left vacant by extinction and environmental upheaval. Over time, these survivors diversified further, their evolutionary trajectories shaped by the demands of their environments and the opportunities presented by new habitats. Some evolved into agile, high-speed flyers, mastering the open skies with precision and grace, while refining the mechanics of flight, wing shape, feather arrangement, and muscle coordination. Others became adept ground dwellers, their wings reduced as their legs strengthened, allowing them to run swiftly or scratch through leaf litter in search of sustenance. Each evolutionary adaptation reflected a unique response to the challenges and opportunities of a planet in flux, driving the ongoing diversification of this remarkable lineage. The evolutionary significance of feathers cannot be overstated. They represent a key innovation that enabled the rise of birds and the exploration of ecological realms previously inaccessible to terrestrial life. From their humble beginnings as simple filaments, feathers became the defining feature of a new dynasty, facilitating not only survival but the conquest of the skies. This innovation unlocked unprecedented ecological opportunities, allowing feathered dinosaurs and their descendants to colonize diverse habitats, from dense forests to open plains and beyond. The emergence of true flight marked a pivotal moment in evolutionary history, demonstrating the power of adaptation and the relentless drive of life to overcome adversity. Today, every living bird, from the smallest hummingbird to the mightiest eagle, bears the legacy of these ancient survivors, their feathers a living link to a distant, tumultuous past. The iridescence, patterns and songs of modern birds echo the evolutionary experiments of their dinosaurian ancestors, connecting the present to the deep evolutionary past. The saga of feathered dinosaurs is one of extraordinary transformation, a chronicle of adaptation, innovation, and the enduring power of evolution to shape life in the wake of catastrophe, ultimately giving rise to the avian wonders that grace our world today. While dinosaurs dominated the continents, the Mesozoic world was a tapestry of evolutionary marvels, with other lineages rising to prominence in the oceans and the skies. As feathered ancestors explored the treetops, a parallel drama unfolded in realms beyond the reach of terrestrial giants. The vast oceans and boundless skies became arenas for evolutionary innovation, where marine and flying reptiles developed extraordinary adaptations to master their domains. The Mesozoic era, often called the Age of Reptiles, was as much defined by its aquatic and aerial rulers as by its land-dwelling behemoths. Beneath the surface, the seas teemed with life forms that pushed the boundaries of vertebrate design. Marine reptiles evolved streamlined bodies, specialized limbs, and sensory systems attuned to the aquatic world. Colossal ichthyosaurs, resembling modern dolphins in form but not in ancestry, patrolled the ancient oceans with remarkable efficiency. Their enormous eyes, among the largest of any vertebrate, allowed them to hunt in the dim depths, detecting the faintest glimmer of prey. Ichthyosaurs employed rapid bursts of speed, using their crescent-shaped tails to pursue agile fish and cephalopods, executing high-speed chases with precision. Their hydrodynamic bodies minimized drag, while their flexible spines enabled swift serpentine movements through the water column. These adaptations made ichthyosaurs formidable pursuit predators, capable of outmaneuvering most marine prey. Plesiosaurs, with their elongated necks and robust bodies, occupied a different ecological niche. Their four powerful paddle-like limbs worked in synchrony, generating lift and thrust for graceful, energy-efficient movement. In contrast, pliosaurs, relatives of plesiosaurs, developed massive skulls and short necks, specializing as ambush predators. Their jaws, armed with interlocking conical teeth, delivered bone-crushing bites capable of subduing large prey. As apex predators, pliosaurs shaped marine food webs, exerting top-down control on their ecosystems. The marine environment was a crucible for evolutionary experimentation, driving the emergence of new forms and strategies. In the late Cretaceous, mosasaurs appeared, sleek, serpentine predators that would come to dominate the final chapters of marine reptile history. Some species reached lengths exceeding 15 meters, rivaling the size of modern whales. Their double-hinged jaws and recurved teeth enabled them to swallow large prey whole, while their flexible bodies allowed for rapid, undulating propulsion. Mosasaurs hunted a wide array of organisms, from armored turtles to swift fish and even other marine reptiles, leaving behind fossil evidence of their predatory prowess. Their rise triggered evolutionary arms races, prompting prey species to develop thicker shells, faster swimming, and defensive behaviors. Fossil beds reveal intricate predator-prey dynamics, with bite marks and healed wounds chronicling the struggle for survival. Ancient turtles, armored fish, and other marine vertebrates navigated kelp forests and coral reefs, each species carving out a unique ecological role. The diversity of marine reptiles reflected a mosaic of feeding strategies, from filter feeding to active pursuit and ambush predation. Above the waves, the skies were transformed by the evolution of flight. Pterosaurs, the earliest vertebrates to achieve powered flight, pioneered aerial lifestyles with remarkable anatomical innovations. Their wings, formed by membranes of skin and muscle stretched over elongated fourth fingers, provided both lift and maneuverability. Rhamphorhynchus, with its stiffened tail vein, excelled at agile flight, darting over lakes to snatch fish with needle-like jaws. These small pterosaurs exploited ecological opportunities unavailable to larger predators, feeding on insects, fish, and crustaceans. Their tails acted as stabilizers, allowing for precise aerial maneuvers during hunting and evasion. At the other extreme, giants like Quetzalcoatlus soared above floodplains, their wingspans exceeding 10 meters. These titans likely traveled vast distances in search of carrion or small vertebrates, using thermal updrafts to conserve energy during flight. Pterosaurs occupied a spectrum of ecological roles, from aerial hunters to scavengers and shoreline foragers. Some nested on cliffs or sandbars, while others hunted in flocks, exploiting seasonal abundance of prey. Their hollow bones and lightweight skeletons reduced body mass, enabling sustained flight and rapid takeoff from land or water. Delicate bone structures allowed for intricate mid-air maneuvers, essential for both hunting and avoiding predators. Pterosaurs evolved an astonishing diversity of skull shapes, beaks, and cranial crests, each adaptation reflecting a specialized feeding strategy or social behavior. Some species skimmed the water surface, capturing fish with rapid, precise strikes, while others probed mudflats for invertebrates. Needle-like teeth and elongated jaws were perfect tools for seizing slippery prey in aquatic environments. Scavenging species exploited carcasses left by larger predators, demonstrating opportunistic feeding behaviors. Keen eyesight and sophisticated wing articulation enabled pterosaurs to detect prey from great heights and execute complex aerial tactics. Their ability to exploit remote or inaccessible habitats gave them access to resources beyond the reach of terrestrial competitors. Though marine and flying reptiles were not dinosaurs, their evolutionary trajectories were deeply intertwined with those of their terrestrial contemporaries. They filled ecological vacancies, drove evolutionary innovation, and contributed to the dynamic balance of prehistoric ecosystems. Environmental upheavals and shifting climates demanded constant adaptation, favoring those with the most versatile traits. Fossils preserved in ancient seabeds and limestone cliffs document migrations, feeding events, and the rise and fall of entire lineages. Evidence of predation, competition, and extinction is etched into the very rocks, bearing witness to the relentless pressures of natural selection. Ultimately, global catastrophes, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, and climate shifts brought these dynasties to an abrupt end. The once thriving seas and skies fell silent, leaving only fossilized remnants of their former inhabitants. Yet, for over 150 million years, marine and flying reptiles reigned supreme, shaping the evolutionary landscape of their time. Their legacy endures in the fossil record, a testament to the power of adaptation and the complexity of ancient ecosystems. Each lineage, with its unique adaptations and ecological roles, represents a distinct evolutionary experiment. Together, they form an intricate chapter in the grand narrative of life on Earth, one defined by resilience, ingenuity, and the relentless drive to survive in ever-changing worlds. While colossal reptiles dominated the land, sea and sky, the true architects of the Mesozoic world were often silent, rooted and ever adaptive. Beneath the shadows of giants, plants shaped the very fabric of prehistoric ecosystems, weaving together the intricate tapestry of life. Across the Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous epochs, Earth's flora underwent dramatic transformations, each era marked by the emergence of new botanical marvels and ecological strategies. These changes not only reshaped landscapes, but also fueled the rise and diversification of the planet's most iconic animals. In the early Triassic, following the devastation of the Permian extinction, life rebounded with remarkable resilience. Hardy ferns, horsetails, and towering club mosses dominated the recovering landscapes, their spores spreading across humid floodplains and river valleys. These ancient survivors formed dense mats of greenery, stabilizing soils and providing shelter for early reptiles and amphibians. Seed ferns and cycads soon joined the scene, their broad fronds and tough leaves thriving beneath open canopies, creating layered habitats teeming with primitive insects and small vertebrates. Conifers, with their needle-like foliage and resinous bark, rose to prominence, adapting to drier uplands and forming the backbone of the first great forests of the dinosaur age. These forests, dominated by species like Voltsia and Labatia, provided new ecological opportunities for evolving terrestrial life. As the Jurassic dawned, the world's climate grew warmer and wetter, and plant diversity flourished. Lush forests blanketed the continents, with ginkgos, cycads and towering araucaria pines forming vast interconnected canopies. Sunlight filtered through these leafy crowns, nurturing a mosaic of smaller plants, horsetails, bennettitales, and delicate seed ferns, each occupying a unique niche within the forest strata. These forests became vital refuges and feeding grounds for herbivorous giants, their foliage sustaining entire communities of plant-eaters. Sauropods, such as Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, browsed the treetops, their immense size and elongated necks allowing them to exploit food sources unreachable to other animals. On the forest floor, armoured stegosaurs and nimble ornithopods grazed on ferns, cycads and low-growing bennettitales, each species finely tuned to its dietary preferences. The interplay between plant structure and herbivore feeding strategies drove evolutionary innovation, shaping both flora and fauna. Each plant community supported a web of interactions, fungi decomposing fallen wood, insects feeding on pollen, and early mammals foraging among roots and leaf litter. The Mesozoic's plant life was dynamic and ever-changing. During the Cretaceous, a quiet revolution transformed the botanical world. Flowering plants, angiosperms, emerged and rapidly diversified, their blossoms introducing new colours, scents and ecological possibilities. Primitive insects, drawn to nectar and pollen, became crucial partners in pollination, forging new evolutionary alliances. This mutualism accelerated plant evolution, leading to an explosion of floral forms and reproductive strategies. Grasses, though still rare, began to colonize open habitats, their tough blades hinting at the future dominance of grasslands. These pioneering plants set the stage for sweeping changes in terrestrial ecosystems, foreshadowing the rise of new herbivores and grazing strategies. The botanical boom of the Cretaceous reshaped entire food webs and ecological relationships. The spread of flowering plants offered novel food sources, prompting herbivores to adapt with specialized jaws, teeth, and digestive systems. Some dinosaurs evolved beaks for cropping tough leaves, while others developed complex stomachs to break down fibrous plant matter. These anatomical innovations allowed herbivores to exploit a wider range of plant resources, driving further diversification. The complexity of digestive systems mirrored the diversity of available plant life, with some species developing fermentation chambers to extract nutrients from tough vegetation. This botanical diversity supported not only plant eaters, but also the predators that depended on them, enriching the entire ecosystem. Beyond nourishment, plants orchestrated the rhythms of Mesozoic life. Seasonal blooms and shifting forests created dynamic habitats, influencing migration patterns and reproductive cycles. The rise of fruit-bearing shrubs introduced new food sources, supporting a growing diversity of animals and dispersing seeds across vast distances. Wetlands, fern prairies and marshes teemed with life, their saturated soils nurturing unique plant communities and supporting amphibians, insects and aquatic reptiles. Coniferous woodlands, with their towering trunks and resinous cones, provided shelter and stability, anchoring the ancient landscape. In the underbrush, tiny mammals scurried in search of seeds and insects, while beetles, flies, and early bees pollinated the vibrant blooms above. Reptiles basked in dappled sunlight, their lives intertwined with the ever-changing plant world. Even in death, plants left enduring legacies. Fallen logs and leaf litter became petrified, preserving intricate details of ancient wood and foliage for millions of years. Leaf impressions and plant fossils embedded in sedimentary rock offer glimpses into vanished worlds, revealing the diversity and structure of prehistoric ecosystems. Pollen grains, preserved in ancient sediments, trace the ebb and flow of forests, recording climatic shifts and evolutionary milestones. Fossilized plant layers reveal the resilience and adaptability of Earth's green kingdoms, chronicling their responses to changing environments. In the grand narrative of the Mesozoic, plants were not mere scenery. They were the foundation, the architects, and the silent drivers of evolutionary change. Their innovations shaped the rise of dinosaurs, influenced global climates, and set the stage for the emergence of new life forms. Intertwined roots and layered fossils tell the story of ancient resilience, adaptation, and the ceaseless march of evolution. The partnership between flora and fauna fueled the grandeur of the Mesozoic, leaving an indelible mark on the planet's history. As the Mesozoic drew to a close, the legacy of its verdant kingdoms endured, guiding the evolution of modern ecosystems and setting the course for life's next great chapters. Across the vast expanse of the Mesozoic era, the Earth was a dynamic and restless planet, its surface and atmosphere in a state of perpetual transformation. Deep beneath the ancient forests and plains, immense tectonic plates shifted and collided, their slow but inexorable movements generating earthquakes, uplifting mountain ranges, and opening rifts that would one day become oceans. The supercontinent Pangaea, once a single colossal landmass, began to fracture under these forces. Over millions of years, continents drifted apart, their separation redrawing the map of the world and altering the flow of ocean currents. As land masses rifted and shifted, new coastlines emerged, and vast stretches of shallow seas flooded continental interiors, creating ever-changing boundaries between land and water. These geological changes profoundly influenced climate patterns, as the arrangement of continents and oceans dictated the movement of winds and the distribution of rainfall. Regions, once dominated by arid deserts, transformed into lush floodplains as monsoons and river systems developed, while other areas dried out as they drifted away from moisture-laden winds. Life responded to these shifting environments with remarkable adaptability. Species evolved new forms and behaviors to exploit emerging habitats, while others vanished as their ecological niches disappeared. Not all change was gradual. Sudden tectonic upheavals fractured the crust, unleashing earthquakes and reshaping entire regions in moments. Volcanic eruptions, fueled by the restless mantle, poured rivers of lava across the land and sent plumes of ash high into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and cooling the planet for years at a time. At the boundary between the Triassic and Jurassic periods, immense volcanic outpourings triggered a global crisis, disrupting ecosystems and causing widespread extinctions that cleared ecological space for new life to flourish. Later, during the Cretaceous, the formation of the Deccan Traps in what is now India released vast quantities of gases and lava, contributing to environmental stress on a planetary scale. The climate itself was in constant flux, shaped by both the slow drift of continents and the episodic violence of volcanic activity. For much of the Mesozoic, greenhouse conditions prevailed. Warm temperatures extended to the poles, supporting forests of cycads and conifers, and allowing reptiles to inhabit regions that today lie frozen beneath ice. Yet even in this warmth, the planet was not immune to extremes. Periods of intense drought alternated with violent storms, and sea levels rose and fell in response to shifting climates and tectonic changes. Inland seas periodically advanced across the continents, isolating populations and creating unique evolutionary laboratories where new species could arise. As climates cooled or dried, lakes and rivers shrank, and once thriving habitats became inhospitable, forcing plants and animals to migrate, adapt, or face extinction. Occasionally, the Earth was struck by objects from space. Asteroid impacts unleashed energy on a scale beyond any terrestrial force, vaporizing rock, igniting wildfires, and sending shock waves through the biosphere. The aftermath of these impacts was catastrophic. Landscapes were scorched, skies darkened by soot, and global temperatures plunged, challenging life to its limits. In the face of such adversity, only the most resilient species endured, their survival etched into the fossil record as a testament to adaptability. The interplay of tectonic upheaval, volcanic fury, shifting climates, and cosmic impacts acted as the architects of evolution, shaping the diversity and distribution of life across the globe. Each geological event set the stage for evolutionary innovation or extinction, driving the emergence of new forms and the disappearance of others, and weaving the intricate tapestry of life. Ultimately, it was the ceaseless power of geological forces. Mountains rising, seas flooding, climates shifting, and catastrophes striking, that defined the Mesozoic world, forging a planet in constant motion and shaping the destiny of all its inhabitants. Long after their reign ended, dinosaurs continued to shape our understanding of the natural world, not through their presence, but through the silent records preserved in stone and earth. Each fossil, meticulously extracted and prepared, serves as a direct link to the distant past. These ancient remains are not merely relics, they are data points, providing critical evidence for reconstructing prehistoric ecosystems and evolutionary lineages. In remote badlands and windswept deserts, exposed strata reveal a rich tapestry of prehistoric life. Layer by layer, paleontologists decipher the sequence of events that shaped entire eras, from mass extinctions to the emergence of new species. The discovery of razor-sharp teeth, intricate feathers and diverse skeletal forms has revolutionized our understanding of dinosaur biology. These findings illuminate the evolutionary transition from non-avian dinosaurs to modern birds and reveal the complexity of ancient food webs. Fossilized nests, eggs and trackways provide rare glimpses into the behavior and reproductive strategies of these ancient animals. Such evidence allows scientists to infer patterns of parental care, migration, and social interaction, painting a vivid picture of life in the Mesozoic. The integration of advanced technology has transformed paleontology into a multidisciplinary science. Techniques such as synchrotron imaging, laser scanning, and geochemical analysis enable researchers to probe fossils at the molecular and atomic levels. High-resolution CT scans reveal the internal architecture of fossilized bones and skulls, allowing scientists to reconstruct sensory capabilities, brain structure, and even the growth patterns of extinct species. Isotope analysis uncovers details about ancient diets, migration routes, and paleoclimates, while biomechanical modeling and digital animation bring extinct giants to life, simulating their locomotion and ecological roles with unprecedented accuracy. Exceptional fossils, such as skin impressions and preserved soft tissues, provide direct evidence of coloration, texture, and even cellular structure. These rare finds offer insights into physiology, thermoregulation, and evolutionary adaptation. The study of sedimentary contexts and fossil assemblages reveals the dynamic interplay between ancient organisms and their environments. By analyzing these patterns, scientists reconstruct entire ecosystems and track the impact of global events such as volcanic eruptions and asteroid impacts. At the microscopic scale, paleohistology and chemical mapping expose growth rates, metabolic processes, and even traces of original biomolecules, bridging the gap between extinct and living organisms. Ongoing fieldwork and laboratory research continue to yield new discoveries, challenging established theories and expanding the boundaries of knowledge. Each new specimen has the potential to rewrite chapters of Earth's history. Through the lens of modern science, the legacy of dinosaurs extends far beyond their extinction. Their story informs our understanding of mass extinctions, climate change, and the resilience of life, offering vital lessons for the present and future. Ultimately, the enduring legacy of dinosaurs lies in the window they provide into the deep past, a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the unending quest to uncover the mysteries that still lie hidden beneath the surface of our planet. Within the fossilized remains of dinosaurs, silent clues reveal a world of heightened perception and intricate behavior. As paleontologists peer into the voids once occupied by brains and sensory organs, they reconstruct the remarkable evolutionary journey of dinosaur intelligence. High-resolution scans of fossilized skulls expose the architecture of ancient brains. In theropods, the expanded olfactory bulbs suggest a keen sense of smell, essential for tracking prey or navigating vast territories. The labyrinthine structure of inner ear canals preserved in exquisite detail, hints at sophisticated balance and spatial awareness, particularly in agile predators like Velociraptor. Forward-facing eyes and overlapping fields of vision in certain species reveal the emergence of depth perception, a vital adaptation for both hunters and herbivores navigating dense prehistoric forests. Microscopic analysis of the scleral rings, bony structure supporting the eyeball, offers evidence of visual acuity and even nocturnal habits. Some small feathered dinosaurs possessed eyes adapted for low-light conditions, enabling them to exploit ecological niches untouched by their larger relatives. Meanwhile, the discovery of ossified cochlear ducts in hadrosaurs and ceratopsians points to nuanced hearing, capable of detecting low-frequency sounds that may have travelled long distances across ancient floodplains. Beyond raw sensory input, the evolution of the dinosaur brain reveals the rise of complex behaviours. Endocasts, natural or digital moulds of cranial cavities, allow scientists to estimate the relative size and organisation of brain regions. In maniraptor and theropods, which include the ancestors of birds, the forebrain expanded dramatically, accommodating advanced sensory integration, problem-solving, and perhaps even social intelligence. Trace fossils, such as synchronized trackways and communal nesting grounds, corroborate the anatomical evidence. These imprints suggest coordinated group movement, intricate communication, and parental care, behaviors that demand memory, learning, and cooperation. The arrangement of eggs in certain nests points to deliberate incubation strategies, while bite marks on bones hint at dominance hierarchies or complex predator-prey interactions. Chemical mapping of fossilized soft tissues has, in rare cases, preserved traces of neurotransmitter molecules, offering a tantalizing glimpse into the biochemistry of ancient brains. The distribution of sensory pits and facial nerves in some species, such as Tyrannosaurids, implies the ability to detect subtle vibrations or temperature changes in their environment, further enhancing their predatory prowess. Each new discovery adds depth to our understanding of dinosaur cognition. From the agile, visually oriented raptors to the socially complex hadrosaurs, dinosaurs evolved a spectrum of sensory and mental adaptations that rival those of modern reptiles and birds. Their legacy is not only written in bone, but in the silent sophistication of minds lost to time, reminding us that intelligence and perception shaped the ancient world as surely as tooth and claw. In the lush tapestry of the Mesozoic world, another evolutionary drama unfolded beneath the towering limbs of dinosaurs. A silent, relentless interplay between giants and the smallest architects of life, insects. As dinosaurs strode across ancient floodplains and forests, insects emerged as both partners and rivals, their destinies inextricably linked through millions of years of co-evolution. The earliest flowering plants, or angiosperms, appeared during the Cretaceous, their vibrant petals and sweet nectars attracting primitive bees, beetles, and wasps. These insects in turn became vital pollinators, accelerating the spread and diversification of new plant species. Dinosaurs, especially herbivorous forms like hadrosaurs and ankylosaurs, adapted to these botanical changes, developing beaks and dental batteries suited for cropping and grinding tougher foliage. Insects and dinosaurs, each responding to the shifting plant landscape, shaped the very ecosystems they inhabited. But the relationship was not solely cooperative. Insects evolved ingenious defences against the relentless grazing of dinosaur herds. Early scale insects and aphids secreted waxy coatings, while cycads and ferns hosted armies of leaf-mining larvae, their tunnels visible as intricate patterns in fossilized leaves. Some plants produce toxic compounds, deterring both insects and the mouths of hungry dinosaurs. An evolutionary arms race that propelled innovation on both sides. Predatory interactions were equally dynamic. Giant dragonflies and nimble damselflies darted through sunlit clearings, preying on swarms of smaller insects stirred by the movement of dinosaurs. Meanwhile, carrion beetles and early flies thrived on the remains of fallen giants, accelerating decomposition and nutrient cycling. In rare amber fossils, the remains of blood-feeding insects, ancient relatives of modern mosquitoes, offer direct evidence of parasitism, their delicate mouthparts adapted to pierce dinosaur skin and draw sustenance from the blood of titans. Some of the most remarkable evidence of this coevolution is preserved in trace fossils. Tiny boreholes in dinosaur eggshells left by opportunistic beetles or wasps hint at a hidden struggle for survival. Fossilized dung, or coprolites, often contains the fragmented remains of beetle exoskeletons, testimony to the insects that thrived in the shadow of giants, recycling waste and fertilizing the soil. Through countless generations, insects and dinosaurs drove each other to new heights of adaptation. The intricate web of mutualism, competition and predation shaped not only their own destinies, but also the broader contours of Mesozoic life. Their legacy endures in the complexity of modern ecosystems, where every step, flutter and buzz is a living echo of ancient partnerships and rivalries, forged in the primeval world. Beneath the shadows of towering ferns and coniferous canopies, the next generation of dinosaurs began its journey, not with a thunderous charge, but within the quiet sanctuary of an egg. The evolution of dinosaur reproduction, from the first leathery-shelled ovals to elaborate nesting colonies, reveals a sophisticated tapestry of survival strategies that shaped entire lineages. Dinosaur eggs varied dramatically in form and function. Some, like those of early sauropodomorphs, were simple, elliptical, and covered with a pliable, parchment-like shell, a trait reminiscent of their distant reptilian ancestors. Over time, many species developed rigid, calcified shells with intricate surface textures and microscopic pores. These adaptations allowed for precise gas exchange, protecting the developing embryo from desiccation and predators, while anchoring the eggs within nests of sand, soil, or vegetation. Nesting behaviours, too, evolved in remarkable ways. Fossilized nesting grounds, such as those uncovered in Mongolia's Gobi Desert and Argentina's Patagonia, reveal vast colonies where dozens, sometimes hundreds of females would lay their eggs in communal sites. Some species, like the famous Maiasaura, constructed carefully built mounds of rotting vegetation, harnessing the heat of decomposition to incubate their clutches. Others, like oviraptorosaurs, arranged their eggs in symmetrical circles or spirals, a pattern that may have facilitated even warming and easier access for vigilant parents. Evidence of parental care emerges not only from nest architecture, but also from rare fossils preserving adults crouched protectively over eggs, their limbs and tails enveloping the clutch. These scenes suggest more than mere instinct. They hint at behaviours akin to brooding, guarding, and perhaps even feeding the young after hatching. Some fossils show neonate dinosaurs with partially worn teeth, implying that hatchlings may have stayed in the nest, cared for and nourished by their parents long after emerging from their shells. The diversity of nesting strategies mirrored the ecological breadth of dinosaurs themselves. Ground-nesting theropods adapted to arid floodplains by burying eggs in sand, while hadrosaurs built elaborate nests in river valleys, exploiting seasonal floods to protect and nourish their young. Each approach was a calculated response to local predators, climate and resource availability, a testament to the adaptability and intelligence of these ancient giants. Through the silent language of eggshells, nest mounds and fossilized brooding postures, dinosaurs left messages across millions of years, evidence of a deep evolutionary investment in their offspring. Today, their legacy lives on in the nesting rituals of birds, direct descendants of these Mesozoic caretakers. The story of dinosaur eggs and parental care is not just one of survival, but of connection, a delicate bond between past and present, written in stone and bone. Across the Mesozoic landscape, cataclysmic forces simmered just beneath the surface. Volcanoes, silent for eons then suddenly violent, reshaped continents and rewrote the rules of survival for every living thing. These eruptions were not rare accidents, but recurring chapters in Earth's deep time story, leaving indelible marks on the world of dinosaurs. From the basaltic floods of the Triassic to the titanic outpourings of the Deccan Traps at the end of the Cretaceous, volcanic events unleashed torrents of molten rock, ash and gases. Clouds of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide veiled the sun, plunging regions into darkness and cooling global temperatures. Acid rain stripped foliage and poisoned waterways, while ash blankets suffocated plant life and altered entire food webs. Dinosaurs, both mighty and small, faced new challenges with every eruption. Herbivores, deprived of their leafy sustenance, migrated or perished, while carnivores followed the shifting tides of prey. Some lineages vanished in the wake of volcanic winters, others adapted, evolving new feeding strategies and behaviours to cope with unpredictable climates and habitats. In certain regions, rapid environmental turnover catalysed bursts of innovation, driving the rise of new species better suited to harsher, ever-changing conditions. Fossil evidence reveals patterns of extinction and radiation linked to pulses of volcanic activity. Layers of volcanic ash serve as time markers, recording abrupt transitions in plant and animal communities. In the aftermath, ecosystems rebounded with surprising resilience as pioneering species colonized fresh volcanic soils and forests regrew atop ancient lava flows. These fiery upheavals, though destructive, acted as engines of evolutionary change. By resetting the ecological stage, volcanoes forced adaptation, spurred diversification, and ultimately shaped the trajectories of entire dinosaur clades. Even as the world burned and skies darkened, life persisted, finding opportunity in chaos and forging new paths through adversity. The legacy of these ancient eruptions lives on beneath our feet, in the basalt plateaus that once smothered forests, in the fossilized remains of creatures caught between worlds, and in the DNA of survivors who weathered the storm. Volcanic forces were both destroyers and creators, sculpting the destiny of dinosaurs and the planet they ruled. Beneath the armour of bone and the shadows of ancient forests, dinosaurs wore another suit of survival, one painted in hues both bold and subtle. For decades their skin was imagined as dull and leathery, but science now reveals a far more vibrant truth. Fossilized impressions and microscopic traces of pigment have begun to unveil a spectrum of colors and patterns once hidden by time. Some dinosaurs bore scales as intricate as a crocodile's, while others sported armor plates studded with bony knobs or crests. Along the flanks of hadrosaurs, skin impressions reveal a mosaic of pebbly textures and overlapping scales, offering both protection and flexibility. In the dense undergrowth, ankylosaurs' knobby hides blended seamlessly with dappled light and shadow, an organic camouflage against lurking predators. Yet not all dinosaurs faded into their backgrounds. Fossilized melanosomes, tiny pigment-bearing structures, hint at brilliant displays. Sinosauropteryx, a small feathered predator, wore a banded tail of chestnut and white, its stripes breaking up its silhouette among ferns and reeds. Some raptors may have shimmered with iridescent black, like modern crows, signaling strength or stealth. Even the mighty Triceratops likely bore a patchwork of muted earth tones, its frill patterned for recognition, intimidation, or courtship. Colour was more than decoration. It was a language. Dappled patterns concealed the vulnerable young from hungry eyes. Bright crests and spots signalled health, maturity, or warning. Seasonal shifts in colour may have mirrored changing climates or breeding cycles, as seen in today's reptiles and birds. Skin structures, too, told their own stories. Thickened pads protected feet from scorching volcanic ground. Spiny filaments and proto-feathers insulated small theropods against chilling nights. Some species displayed elaborate scales or quills along their backs and tails, perhaps to confuse predators or attract mates. In this world of living camouflage and display, survival depended as much on what could be seen or hidden as on tooth or claw. Each species' unique palette was shaped by its habitat, its enemies, and its place in the ancient web of life. Through every patch of colour and every scale's edge, the diversity of dinosaur skin reveals a lost world. One not of drab monsters, but of creatures painted in life, each adapting its own masterpiece for the theatre of survival. Across the shifting continents of the Mesozoic, water carved the blueprint for life. Rivers and wetlands, ever-changing and unpredictable, became the arteries that nourished entire ecosystems and dictated the destinies of dinosaurs. These ancient waterways sculpted valleys, deposited fertile soils, and created a mosaic of habitats, each with its own challenges and opportunities. In the low-lying floodplains, sprawling river deltas teemed with vegetation. Here, herds of hadrosaurs grazed on lush cycads and horsetails, their migrations following the seasonal rise and fall of waters. Every spring, swollen rivers spilled over their banks, rejuvenating the land and leaving behind a patchwork of ponds and oxbow lakes. These wetlands became nurseries for both plants and animals, offering shelter for the vulnerable young and a bounty for predators lurking at the water's edge. Along winding channels, forests of conifers and ferns flourished in the rich alluvial soils. Armoured ankylosaurs and towering sauropods frequented these shaded banks, drawn by the promise of abundant food and the safety of dense cover. In times of drought, shrinking streams forced animals to converge at dwindling waterholes, intensifying competition and shaping survival strategies. River systems also acted as corridors, connecting distant habitats and enabling vast seasonal migrations. Some dinosaurs, like the long-necked Tyrannosaurs, may have travelled hundreds of kilometres along ancient river valleys, tracking the greening landscape as rains returned. These journeys were perilous. Swift currents, shifting channels, and sudden floods could transform a gentle stream into a barrier or a deadly trap. The dynamic nature of rivers ensured that no habitat remained static. Meandering flows cut new paths, isolating populations and fostering evolutionary change. Over millennia, riverbanks rose and fell, Wetlands dried and reformed, and new ecosystems emerged in the wake of every flood. Fossil sites today reveal the legacy of these ancient watercourses: bones preserved in river muds, footprints pressed into silt, and the remains of entire communities entombed by sudden deluges. Water was more than a backdrop. It was a force that shaped the diversity and abundance of dinosaur life. The rise and retreat of rivers dictated where forests grew, where herds gathered, and where predators lay in wait. In the grand theatre of the Mesozoic, it was the rivers, ever restless, ever renewing, that set the stage for the drama of survival. While dinosaurs reigned supreme, the Mesozoic world was also home to a vast array of other reptilian giants. Ichthyosaurs slicing through ancient seas, plesiosaurs gliding in the depths, and mighty crocodiliforms lurking in swamps and rivers. Above, pterosaurs ruled the skies, their wings casting fleeting shadows over primeval landscapes. Yet, as the epochs unfolded, many of these remarkable reptiles vanished long before the final curtain fell on the dinosaurs themselves. The causes of their decline were as varied as their forms. In the oceans, ichthyosaurs, once dominant marine predators, faced mounting challenges. Shifting continents redrew coastlines, altering the chemistry and temperature of the seas. Volcanic eruptions and fluctuating sea levels brought about periods of anoxia, starving the deep waters of oxygen and disrupting food chains. Fierce competition from emerging marine reptiles such as mosasaurs and advanced plesiosaurs further pressured ichthyosaurs, hastening their disappearance by the mid-Cretaceous. On land, the landscape was no less turbulent. Giant amphibians and many early crocodiliforms, once widespread, dwindled as climates grew drier and flowering plants transformed ecosystems. New predators, more agile, better adapted, rose to dominance. In the skies, pterosaur diversity peaked in the Jurassic, but many groups faded over time, possibly outcompeted by the earliest birds and disrupted by changing atmospheric conditions. Each extinction sent ripples through the web of life. As ancient reptiles vanished, their ecological roles were left vacant, opening niches for new contenders. Mosasaurs surged into prominence in the seas, while mammaliforms and birds diversified on land and in the air. The disappearance of established giants paved the way for evolutionary experimentation and reshuffling, driving bursts of adaptation and innovation. These extinctions were not isolated events, but part of a complex tapestry of environmental upheaval. Shifts in climate, sea level, and continental positions combined with evolving predator-prey dynamics to reshape the living world again and again. In the sedimentary record, the silence of vanished lineages is as telling as the bones they left behind, a testament to nature's relentless capacity for change. As the Mesozoic drew to a close, the world was transformed. The once mighty reptilian titans faded into memory, their stories written in stone and shadow. In their absence, new worlds would rise, primed for the next chapter in Earth's ever-evolving saga. In the ancient forests and floodplains of the Mesozoic, communication was as vital to survival as teeth or claws. Dinosaurs, far from being silent colossi, evolved an astonishing tapestry of ways to share information, assert dominance, attract mates, and warn of danger. Their world resonated with signals, some thunderous, others almost imperceptible. Vocalization was one of the most direct forms of dinosaur communication. Fossilized skulls and resonating chambers hint at an array of sounds, from the low infrasonic rumbles of giant sauropods, vibrations that could travel for kilometers through the ground, to the trumpeting calls of hadrosaurs, whose elaborate hollow crests functioned like natural brass instruments. These calls may have conveyed identity, readiness to mate, or alarm at approaching predators. Even smaller theropods likely used a repertoire of chirps, squawks and growls, the legacy of which can still be heard in their avian descendants. But sound was only part of the story. Dinosaurs also relied on a rich visual language. Feathers, scales and frills became canvases for bold patterns and shifting colours. Ceratopsians wielded ornate horns and frills, not just for defence, but as visual signals, billboards advertising strength, age or social rank. Some species bore vibrant crests or display structures used in ritualized confrontations or elaborate courtship dances. The flash of a tail, the spreading of wings, or a sudden posture could communicate aggression or submission without a single sound. Social behaviours further deepened these connections. Fossil trackways reveal herds moving in coordinated unison, suggesting complex group dynamics and possibly leadership roles. Nesting colonies, some stretching for hundreds of meters, point to synchronized breeding and communal care, where subtle cues and signals would have been essential for cohesion. Defensive formations, such as rings of adults encircling their young, required intricate non-verbal coordination. Even olfactory cues played a role. Glandular secretions and scent marking may have helped dinosaurs delineate territory or recognize kin. The interplay of these sensory channels, sound, sight, smell, created a multi-dimensional web of communication, honed by millions of years of natural selection. In this realm, every call, flash of colour and calculated movement was part of a conversation as old as life itself. Through these evolving languages, dinosaurs built societies, forged alliances, and navigated the ever-shifting perils of their time. Their world was not just one of tooth and claw, but of voice, vision, and social connection, a silent testament buried with them to the power of communication in the dance of evolution.